What up, y'all? It's Jake. My daughter's come down with a cold, so I'm going to take this opportunity to make her a double fortified bone broth, chicken bone broth for a chicken noodle soup. An ultimate chicken noodle soup. Come check it out. Let's go! Alright, y'all, we're going to start this thing off making another stock. Now, I've made a broth previously, a chicken broth previously, a couple days ago. Went through the whole process. I'm going to do it again with some new bones that I got from market. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to pour the broth into the same mixture, and we're going to see if we can get like a double fortification happening with this broth. So we're going to cook this stock in the broth, and hopefully that will impart a deeper level of flavor, deeper level of chicken flavor. Alright, y'all, we're going to start off roasting some bones for some stock. I've already made a stock before. We have it in the fridge. I'm going to make another stock, and then when these bones are roasted, I'm going to pour that old stock into this stock, and we're going to fortify that first broth with even more flavor. So that's what I mean about a double fortified soup. So I've left a hole here in the middle. You can see right there. Because that is where I'm going to be placing my onions. And I'm going to be putting 2 more onions in there. We're going to dump a load more aromatics in this thing. Try to optimize the flavor output that we're getting from our aromatics. All right. So for that reason, I'm going to leave the skins on, and we're going to roast it this way. What I'm trying to achieve is a browning on the top, which will add some flavor to the soup. It's a little trick that is done in foam making, although in foam making the complete skin is taken off. We'll probably just do that right now, just to make sure that we avoid any burning or charring. I kind of want to leave it on because these skins actually impart a lot of color to the broth, but on second thought, since we already have a stock with a lot of flavor and a lot of color, I suppose there's no need to impart any more into it. So here we go. It's just chicken and onions. All right, nothing special, no salt, nothing. I'm gonna throw it under the broiler on high and cook this for, I guess, maybe 25 minutes or so. We'll see. And then we'll start working on the aromatics. All right, y'all. Now that the bones are roasting, we're gonna get started on the aromatics. But first, salud. Now, while those bones are roasting, it'd be a good idea to get the soup started so we're not wasting time. So I'm going to fill a pot with water. I'm going to start breaking down this veg to get the aromatics prepped. Now, these aromatics have been in my fridge for a while. The celery's been in for a while. There's some less than perfect parts, but when making stock, I'd advise to, not to let those things bother you, because the purpose of these veg is not to look pretty. And sometimes, to be frank, in my experience, sometimes a less than perfect veg are the ones that we really want. So the ones that taste the best or have a unique characteristic to it that otherwise wouldn't be there with perfect ingredients. So yeah, we're just going to keep filling that pot. I'm going to throw these celeries in. I'm going to top off that onion. And listen, guys, we're not going for perfection with chopping here. We're just sort of throwing everything in. I'm going to leave a little bit of that skin. Like I said, it imparts a bit of flavor. I'm going to rinse it a little bit before I put it in. I'm going to throw it in. No problem. It's real simple. And look, there's a little bit of this red onion that I had. I'm going to throw it in there as well. And gonna get some carrots as well and throw those in. Now, because we're making the stock, again, no need to peel it. We're just gonna wash it real quickly, thoroughly. Alright. Skins have a lot of compounds in it, a lot of minerals that are good for you. So we're gonna keep them whole. Just cut them into chunks, throw it in, and then top off our pot. And then that goes on the stove. It gets started while our chicken bones are roasting. Don't forget to clean up your station, guys. Keep a clean working space. All right, so when filling up the pot of aromatics, filling it up with water, it's important to keep in mind the volume, okay, guys, because there's bones roasting, and as you put the bones in, it's going to raise the level of the water, so you don't want to have a spillage on the stove. That's pissing me off here. Sorry, guys. So I've stopped here. I've surmised that once I put the bones in, it should top this up and level this off. Once I have the bones in here, we're going to let it cook down. Let me just get that icky part off. We're going to, once the bones are ready, we're going to stick them in. We're going to cook it down for maybe an hour, maybe 2, and try to optimize the flavor that we can get out of these aromatics on the bones. And then we're going to dump the soup in, and we're going to reduce it even further because I have like 4 hours before I have to serve this for dinner. So we're going to get this on the stove, and then we'll check in maybe an hour and see how things are going. All right, y'all, while the stock's on the fire, I'm going to address the chicken because we are going to be serving roasted chicken leg on the side with the soup. I think the pasta we're using is actually pretty fun. It's these little rings of pasta. I can't remember what they're called, but they're awesome. My daughter will love them. I think they'll add a really great texture into the soup. So I figured a nice roasted chicken leg would be pretty good to have alongside the soup on the side. You know, extra protein, right? So what we're going to do with the chicken is we're going to do a short dry brine, which means pretty much that we're just going to salt it and let it sit in the fridge. This will season the meat deeper than it would just on the surface if we just cooked it right now. And at the same time, it'll bring some moisture to the surface, which we can wick away. And what that will also do is it will create a crunchier skin. So we definitely want to achieve that. And all we're putting on this, guys, on the chicken legs here is just salt. That's it. No pepper, no MSG, no garlic powder, none of that stuff. Just a real clean flavor. Just salt. Because what I also want to do here is I want to take all the rendering, the chicken rendering, and I want to keep it. I want to take it out of the pan when it's done cooking, pour it out, filter it, and I can use that for cooking and you know, other dishes in the future. So if I start putting all these flavorings in there, then I can't really use it because everything will taste like the seasoning that I've put onto the chicken. Not to mention that chicken is beautiful with just salt. There are plenty of restaurants out there that just use salt so that pretty much no one can come back and say I'm not into that flavor, I'm never coming back again. So simple is best, and you'd be surprised at how many restaurants actually just keep it simple. Just cook the chicken really well and make it really delicious that way, as opposed to putting a ton of flavorings into the meat. All right, enough of me talking about that. These are salted, brining. I'm going to stick them in the fridge, and they'll be ready in maybe an hour, 2, to get roasted. I'll probably take them out in 2 hours. I got like dinner's in 4, so I'll take them out in 2, let them rest outside room temperature for an hour, and then I'll throw them in for an hour, and they'll be good to go. Okay. All right, Joel. Here we are. I'm pulling these out because the onions are getting a bit more brown than I want to. This is exactly where I want them. I want them to have some charred and some brown parts. And that's going to impart some really great flavor. So I'm going to throw that into my stock right now, both of them. And then we're going to keep on cooking the bones down. Now, this is, like I mentioned earlier, this is going to be a double fortified bone broth. So there's no need for these to be underdone. These should actually be pretty well done when you throw them into the soup, because you want the not the charred, but the caramelized flavor to be what gets imparted into the soup. So we're going to continue browning these. I'm throwing these back under the broiler. It's been maybe 10-15 minutes. We're going to keep going. I'm not really going to put a time limit on this. I'm just going to go until they're crazy brown and there's very little moisture left. At this time, I'm also going to go ahead and add some more aromatics. So we have a tomato here and a couple small bay leaves. I'm probably going to add more bay leaves when I actually make the soup, but this is going to go into the stock right now to help along with the flavor. All right, y'all. Here we are with some extra browning. I'm going to turn these over one more time. As you can see, it's still a little bit of moisture. It's not as brown as I would like it to be. So we're going to turn it over one more time, and we're going to brown it on the first side one last time before we throw it into the soup. As you can see, all of this grease has rendered. That's exactly what we want, because I'm going to be collecting all of that. But I can also tell by looking at it that it's not all just grease, which means that there's still moisture that needs to come out. So this final browning should help evaporate the rest of the moisture and leave us with all that beautiful grease. At the same time, it should add the final caramelization on the top of these bones. And then at that point, we'll be able to throw it into our soup, and it will be super bomb. All right, here we go. Hey y'all, okay, so I think we're here now. We've arrived. The bones are browned as I like to see them. They've fried a little bit on the bottom, which is what I want, because there's all that grease in the bottom. That means that there's no moisture from the bones that are left. It's all just oil, which I'm going to collect and filter and use for future use. These bones are ready to go into the stock and impart some amazing caramelized flavors. So we're going to throw these into the pot, and then we're going to continue on. All right, guys, here we go. This is already smelling amazing with the aromatics. So adding the chicken is just gonna make it even better. As you can see, it's all oil. That's what I want to see. I want to see all that fat rendered from the bones and the spines. Typically when you get a bag of bones from the store I get my groceries from, it's the spine, the chicken spine that you get. And it looks like I've judged that accurately in terms of the water level. As you can see, it hit right at the top. It's not my first rodeo, but we're gonna put this back on the fire and let this produce now. Hey guys, okay, so here we are. We are now going to be rolling up the stock that I made previously. This is the first fortified chicken stock. These are bones that have been boiled for about 24 hours with some aromatics. I'm going to be putting somewhere in the vicinity of 2 liters in there. And we're going to, once this comes up to temperature, we're going to take some of that other stock and place it into here and continue it boiling. This will be the base for our chicken noodle soup. Alright guys, so as you can see, this has been reducing for about an hour and a half now. We are getting some concentration of flavor, and this is what we're going to be dumping into our initial broth to gain even more chicken flavor into our soup, our base. And there you go, beautiful. Oh, it smells delicious. Alright everybody, take a look at this here. I'm just filling up my stock pot here with some of the freshly made chicken broth, chicken stock. stock, made with bones. And this is what we're going to use for our soup, our ultimate chicken soup. Oh, it smells delicious. Just top up the old soup. I keep going for another, I'll probably do it overnight. All right, y'all, so we're here now with the chicken. I've taken it out of the fridge for about an hour. It's, I guess, for better or worse, has been tempered to room temperature, so they say. So now we're just going to grease them up and stick them in the oven. I don't want to use a lot. This is chicken fat, actually, that I'm using to grease this up. Just a bit, not a lot. Doesn't need a lot. You know, all the salt has now melted or dissolved into the chicken. So now it just seemed almost logical to use its own fat to grease it up, slick it up while we stick it into the oven now. All right, so now this is ready to go. We're going to stick it into the oven for about an hour at 400 degrees. All right, y'all, so with the chicken in the oven, we're going to address the final stock, which will cook for approximately an hour while the chicken is cooking. And for that, I'm going to cut up yet another onion. This time, we're going to ensure that all the skin is off because I don't want to impart any more coloring to the chicken. I almost said flavor. I think I said flavor earlier, but I meant color. But I don't want to impart any more color into the broth because I still want it to remain that beautiful golden color that it is right now. I'm also going to drop a whole head of garlic in there as a means to flavor the soup. So this time, no color, just all pure final flavor that will hopefully will imbue not only a lot of nutritional value, but a complex flavor, at least a more rounded aromatic flavor coming from both onion and garlic. Let me just take the nasty part off. There we go. Throw this in the pot and we'll see you in a bit. So here we are, guys. This is the broth we're dealing with. Don't mind the hot dogs in the background. But yeah, this is the broth that we're creating right now for our soup for dinner. This is the ultimate chicken broth. Soon I'll be putting some mushroom powder and some hot white pepper in there to give it some flavor. I suppose unique to myself, but for now, bay leaf, garlic, and onion to get things going for about an hour while the chicken cooks.
Dad, do you know the heights?
Mm-hmm.
Dad? Does that mean the heights?
Yes.
Is this my
Yes, it